and other colonies like Mexico and Peru became richer, Hispaniola was no longer a priority. As Spanish influence weakened, French pirates and settlers began establishing a presence on the western part of the island. They built settlements, traded goods, and raided Spanish ships. By the 1600s, the French had a strong foothold, and Spain struggled to push them out. Instead of continuing to fight, the two nations reached an agreement. In 1697, the Treaty of Ryswick officially divided the island. Spain kept the eastern side, which remained known as Santo Domingo, now the Dominican Republic. France took control of the western side, renaming it Saint-Domingue, now Haiti. This division would shape the future of both nations, setting them on vastly different paths. Under Spanish rule, Santo Domingo focused on the economy and cattle ranching, and small-scale farming, with relatively few enslaved people compared to other colonies. The Spanish elite lived comfortably, but the colony was not nearly as wealthy as Spain's territories in South America. The French, in stark contrast to the Spanish, envisioned Saint-Domingue as a highly profitable colony. The wealthiest colony in the Caribbean and one of the most profitable in the world. The island's fertile land and perfect climate made it ideal for sugar production, and the French wasted no time turning it into a plantation machine. Sugar, coffee, and indigo became the backbone of the colony, fueling France's economy at the expense of human suffering. By the late 1700s, Saint-Domingue produced 40% of the world's sugar and half of its coffee, making France incredibly wealthy. But that wealth came at a terrible human cost. The plantation system was one of the most horrific in history, with the French importing hundreds of thousands of Africans to work from sunrise to sunset. They toiled in sugarcane fields under intense heat, processing the harvest in dangerous mills. Extreme labor and hunger resulted in devastatingly short lifespans. Historical records indicate that the French colonial system focused heavily on the continuous importation of African laborers to maximize production, rather than focusing on their long-term well-being. The colony's society was built on strict racial and class divisions. At the top were the Grands Blancs, wealthy white plantation owners who controlled the economy and government. Below them were the gens de couleur libres, free people of color, many of mixed African and European ancestry. Some of them were wealthy landowners, and even owned enslaved people themselves. But they were still denied full rights. At the very bottom were the enslaved Africans, who made up the majority of the population, and had no rights and no future under French rule. How did the French Revolution inspire the Haitian Revolution? By the late 1700s, change was coming. In 1789, the French Revolution erupted in Europe, spreading the ideas of liberty, equality, and fraternity. While revolutionaries in France fought against their monarchy, enslaved and free black people in Saint-Domingue began to demand their own freedom. The gens de couleur libres argued that if white Frenchmen deserved equality, so did they. But for the enslaved, words weren't enough. They wanted action. Tensions boiled over. The colony was on the verge of war, and it was only a matter of time before the oppressed would rise up against their oppressors. The French had built an empire on the backs of enslaved Africans, but they had underestimated the strength of the people they had tried to keep in chains. A revolution was about to begin.
That's a wrap, History Seekers. Catch the full story on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Peace and love.